Okay, here we
We have
are.
16 people watching right now. Hello,
Yay!
everyone.
Hi, everybody. So glad you're joining us. It's great to have you. And I have to say, community is everything right now. We're all feeling so alone and
Sounds like
struggling
a
day
lot of
to
people
day.
are frustrated too.
Yeah, it is so frustrating. Every kid I've talked to in the last week, they're angry, they're bored, they're lonely, and of course they're taking all of these feelings out on you, their parents. Exactly.
Yeah, funny how that happens, eh?
So funny how that happens. It's not so fun. It's like you have to put on your Teflon suit of armor every day and just, let things slide, right?
Don't take it personally. They are not attacking you as a person. They are dealing with their emotions in not the best ways.
Yeah, they just don't know how to manage this. And honestly, who does? Really? You know.
I don't. Well, I'm working on it. That's
I
part of
don't
the
either. I mean, I'm working a lot, but I have to say I miss my friends, don't you?
I do. I really do. But
Ooh,
before we get too much further, I'd like to reintroduce you to my page.
okay.
Hi, everyone. This is Dr. Sharon Saline, and I happen to have her book right here.
Ooh,
She
that's so
wrote this
cool.
amazing book, What Your ADHD Child Wishes You Knew. And I refer back to this book a lot. You most likely have seen me pull it up in my live videos and talk about it. And Sharon, she sent me her book to review over a year ago at this point. And since then,
Yeah.
so often we connect and we do videos together because we care for the ADHD community.
Oh, we
So thank
really
you so
do.
much.
In fact, Laura, I'm going to be sending you one of these. It just arrived this week. It's the ADHD Solution Deck. 50 strategies to help kids learn, reduce stress, and improve family connections. You can buy them on Amazon or at the PESI.org website. It might be .com. It's a card deck based on the 5 C's, and it's so beautiful. Look at
Oh my
this.
gosh, I love it.
Yes, and so there's
Self-control.
a whole suit of self-control. You're losing your mind. You need some inspiration. How about pick this card, Managing Morning Madness. And on the back, there's a quote, there's a challenge, and there's a tool. Or you can work your way through the 5 suits, self-control, compassion, collaboration, consistency, and celebration.
Yeah, it's
So
your 5 C's.
it's my 5 C's, but there's new material in this that's not in the book. And this is a great grab when you're struggling and you need an idea. So I hope people will seek these out. And I know budgets are tight right now, but this was really, I think it'll be a lifesaver during this
I
time.
had no idea you're sending that to me. I'm so excited. That
Yeah.
reaction is genuine. I'm like, oh my gosh.
Well, here's the problem though. I have to go to the post office.
Yeah, that is the kicker in life, isn't it, right now?
It is really the kicker. So Laura and I were thinking we might do something a little bit different, which is a role play or two about what we understand it's like for you guys right now in your home. So not much of a role play for me, but Laura's going to be a parent. Oh, wait, she is a parent. And I'm going to be a psychologist. Oh, wait, I am a psychologist. But we're going to give it a try. And then we'll switch. So I get to do a little acting, and so does she.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we're going to do the first one
Yeah,
now?
let's do the first one first. Yeah.
Okay, so the first one, I'm a parent.
Yes, of 10-year of a couple of kids, including one who's 10, who are not doing their homework.
Dr. Sharon, I am just so frustrated. I'm stuck at home. My husband, I didn't realize how loud he was all of the time. I know that's not really my issue, but oh my gosh, there's so many humans. And my kids, they're going crazy. I'm trying to work from home and they're not listening. They're acting out. I can't get them to do any of the chores. I mean, they're supposed to clean their room. They're supposed to make their bed. Nothing is happening.
Oh,
Everything is out of control. What am I supposed to do?
great question. And you know what? You are not alone. Most parents are
Really?
struggling with the same kinds of issues. So the first
Oh.
thing that you need to do is make your daily life now mimic daily life when school's in session. Create some kind of daily schedule. It doesn't have to be minute by minute, but it has to be like chunks of time. Breakfast, wake up, breakfast, brush your teeth. Then if you have an online class, online classes, or schoolwork for a period of time. We can talk a little bit later about how to create successful schoolwork periods. Then snack, break, a little more schoolwork, lunch, physical activity, maybe what's left of homework, and then some free time. And that free time
Mm.
can be screen time, or it could be it could be a creative time without screens. You could have both.
That'd be
One family I
fun.
know has like a 30-minute or 30, depending on your family, 30 minutes to an hour of non-screen creative time or downtime. And then kids can socialize, then dinner, and then you figure out an evening activity. Maybe you as a family watch a couple shows or a movie where you might be on screens, but you're on screens together. This is a little bit harder for teens to buy
Oh.
into, but the goal here is to reduce arguing and to increase cooperation. And since your kids, especially your teens, want you to stop nagging them, this is your golden ticket, having some kind of structure. One family I worked with today told me that they're doing a two-day block at a time, a list of things that need to be accomplished in 2 days, and their child, who's a young teen, can do it in any order they want as long as it gets done. That's the trick,
Okay.
of course. Other families have more kind of rigid or bare bones schedules. So think about what works for your family and try to set something up, and send some questions if you're watching so I can offer you some direct support and advice.
So we do have a couple comments.
Okay.
So Stephanie says setting up a classroom work for tomorrow with like the profanity angry face.
Oh, okay.
Mel, I actually run the school timetable. LOL. My kids cope a little better that way.
Mm-hmm.
Frankie says, what about kids who are not in school yet?
Oh, so little ones or kids whose school districts haven't kind of pulled it together yet. That's tough. I have some parents who've done some Khan Academy. I have some parents who are doing some YouTube videos so people can kind of work together on a project or learn something, maybe a little science experiment. Um, Putting school together for your kids, for the person with the angry face, like, is so hard. You're not
Yeah,
trained,
Stephanie.
Stephanie, like, you're not trained to be their teacher, right? And so for some
No.
of these kids, it's just a power play. It's a power nightmare, really. It's a dynamic where they want, they can get into it with you in ways they can't do it with their teacher, right? Because that's not appropriate. So what I would encourage you to do is to see how the school can support you. What I've found is that kids who have learning support teachers or aides, that those support teachers or aides are more than willing to touch base or spend 15 or 20 minutes with your student every day right now to
Oh.
offer them the support, to help them lay out their work. This is important. Some kids do better when they have a couple of their friends on Zoom and everybody's doing work together, like in a little group, but they can talk to each other. So try to think a little bit outside the box. Touch base if your kids are in elementary school with their main classroom teacher, and see if you can get some ideas about how they actually function in the classroom that would help you at home.
Oh, I never thought about that. Reaching out to the
Yeah.
teacher.
Mm-hmm.
How does your kid work in the Sorry, my camera almost fell over. Wow,
Well,
that's
I have
awesome.
someone, Brenda says, it's incredibly busy. My oldest has ADHD and is coping by zoning out on screens. My middle is coping by being on the move all the time. And my youngest just tries not to get caught in the middle. Oh my. There have been some tears with things being canceled or postponed, but overall we're taking it day by day. I want to say bravo to you, Brenda, because day by day is all we have right now. Humans like to plan, and right now we are deprived of that, which increases our anxiety because we don't know what's coming and we don't know when this is going to end. We generally like to have a starting point for something and an exit point. And it started, but there's no exit point, and that is so frustrating.
So I asked a question earlier
Mm.
about how are people doing on my page, and I'm just going to read you a couple of these.
Hmm.
Mostly people are saying it's been awful. I am so
Oh.
stressed, and a lot of what I'm seeing is
Mm.
the ADHD adult in the family is struggling.
Hmm.
Do you have anything to say to the ADHD
Yes.
adult?
Okay. So here's the problem. You have executive functioning challenges, as does your child, right? And so when we're stressed, our weakest executive functioning skills are hit first. And so what that means is that the things that are hard for you normally are going to be extra hard for you now, because on top of the challenge with organizing or planning or managing your feelings, you've now got the stress of everybody being home, of trying perhaps to work at home, of managing school. Give yourselves a break. You don't have to do it perfectly. Be kind to yourself and remember that you're doing the best you can in a compromised situation, and so are your kids. Like, we're all struggling with our limited resources. So this is really hard. And I think the thing is that you could do two options. One is, if you have an executive functioning skill that isn't your strongest and you want to work on it, and your child has an executive functioning skill that isn't their strongest, perhaps you could each work on your challenges together in a parallel fashion, right? So, mommy is
Oh,
not so good. Mommy is not so good with managing her time, and you're not so great with organizing. Let's see if we can help each other. Just brainstorm
oh,
some ideas, and you could each try something. Sometimes it's helpful to create a daily schedule for yourself with alerts. It's really helpful for adults to have alerts. Oh, this is a warning for this thing that I have to do at this time. And that can kind of guide us. If you have an analog clock or a timer, use that to help you orient yourself throughout the day. Go outside sometime
yes.
during the day. Yes, the other day I worked literally 10 hours and I went outside for my 5-minute break. I didn't do anything. I just sat down and breathed the air. Even though it was cold, I just needed to get outside. So if you can do that, that's helpful. I have a question here from Christina. She says, overall, okay, but not always. My self-care has taken a real hit, though. So
Mm.
that's thank you so much for bringing that up, because the issue for us is, how can we take care of ourselves in the midst of this time when we're having to take care of everyone else all the time, right? So what I want to encourage you to do, your kids are on screens. Use their free screen time that's not school related and take a break if you can during that time. You may have to work, but if you can save 10 minutes of that for yourself, try to do that, because they're occupied. If you have another parent in the house, tag team it. Make sure you get at least 15 or 20 minutes to yourself in the course of a day. And whether that's going up and down the stairs or taking a quick run or walking down the block and back, just get a little bit of time where you can clear your head. And if it's hard for you to do that, put your headphones on, listen to some Lizzo, and dance yourself out.
I'm guilty of not giving myself time because
Mm-hmm.
I'm working full time
Yeah.
and I run the ADHD Mama page,
Mm-hmm.
and it's a lot right now, and I have to admit, oh, good reminders, right? I have to take 5 minutes for myself.
Yeah, and sometimes, it's hard to do, but I was not really joking when I talked about putting music on. Family dance time is time that you could actually kind of be with yourself dancing, and everyone else is too. And if your kids are saying, ugh, I don't want to listen to that or this, have them put the music on. What do you care? And if you really want to really annoy them, learn the words to their favorite songs and sing out loud while you're dancing. Extra fun.
My girls are still young enough, they're not embarrassed by that yet. They're like,
That's good.
yay, we're singing together.
Yay. Well, that's good. That's nice.
Yeah.
Enjoy that.
So another question here on the other page, all of it, the good, the bad, the ugly. My 15-year-old son is hyper focused on Xbox.
Mm-hmm.
Um, all the feels, lots of flashness of rudeness.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, basically angry and focused on Xbox. What do you have to say to that?
So when I was raising my kids who are in their 20s now, we used to call this the TV cranks.
The
And what
TV
the
cranks.
TV cranks, like you'd watch a movie on TV and then the movie would be over and then you'd be like, oh, and then they'd start to argue with each other, you know, because they didn't know what else to do. And so I think that happens quite a bit with gaming today for kids. And so what I would encourage you to do is to link their behavior to their gaming. So decide
So
how
like
much.
point it out to them.
Yes, point it out to them, but also do something else. In my book, I talk about easy on, easy off. So this is a philosophy for managing screen time with your kids. And what I want to encourage you to do is decide with your partner, if you have one, or for yourself, how much overall screen time you want your kids to have now during this exceptional period. Not the hour you used to let them have, what you want them to have now, okay? And let's say, for the sake of argument, it's 3 hours. It might be longer. Some parents are saying their kids are on screens 10 hours a day because they're on screens for school, and then they're doing their homework, and then they want to mess around. That is not ideal, but as my friends who are physicians, pediatricians, family practitioners say, this is not a typical time. The rules don't abide. So you can, know that your kids can watch some screen time now more than they're used to, and it doesn't mean that their brains are going to turn to mush eventually.
They're not?
Nope. They're going to be okay. They're going to come back. What I want to say is that you decide that they can have perhaps 3 hours a day. You set 2 hours maybe as the baseline, or an hour and a half as the baseline. They get that every single day at the same time. Make it a time when you yourself have stuff to do or you need a break. Then the rest of that time they earn through their cooperation. So they earn when they do their homework without yelling at you. They earn when they take the trash out without back talking. They keep earning those extra chunks of time so that they actually can get to the 3 hours. And for kids, the baseline is fine. They want the bonus. They want the extra time. And particularly for kids who game, because they can't get a lot done in an hour and a half. They'll say, oh, I need 3 hours. Great. Show me how you're going to earn it. Sometimes, and that's a little bit of being a little bit of tough love, but it makes a difference because it shows them that there's some accountability for the way they're acting. And this is important right now. It's not
accountability
okay for your kids.
is huge.
It's not okay for your kids to be cursing at you, putting you down, kicking, whatever, hitting you. Like if they do these behaviors and they don't earn the privilege of their bonus time. It's better than punishment, because punishments don't teach them any skills. And we want to teach these kids how to use incentives, and this will assist them with that.
Absolutely. So are you interested in doing another skit?
Yeah. I think I think I'm going to be Faith, who is 15, and she is really unhappy because I'll tell you why. So I don't understand why I can't have one friend that I could see, like our house and their house, Mom, would be linked. Like we would just be one big, confinement, one big quarantine, because I'm really bored. I miss my friends. I'm lonely. I hate this. It's never going to end. I just want to see my one friend, Alice. Can't you let me see Alice?
Well, no, and yes, I'm sorry you can't go to their house, because that's not how quarantine works. I know that's so frustrating.
You're so mean and unfair.
But I mean, can we try to come up with a better solution where you can still connect with your friend, even if you can't see them in person and touch their face?
I hate that. I just want to see them. Can't I just go to their house and stand 6 feet away? Could we do that, where I could just wave?
No, because that's not what quarantine is about. We all need to do our part. You care about grandma and grandpa, don't you?
Yeah, of course. But
what if you brought something home and we got them sick?
I just miss my friends.
We're trying to protect.
I just miss my friends.
Well, how about we contact your friend's parents and we set up like an ice cream date where you all eat ice cream on video together, where you're still doing an activity. I mean, you don't lick their ice cream, do you? So, I mean, what's the difference between being on a camera and being in person?
Well, it's not the same, but can I have chocolate sauce and Jimmy's?
Yes, literally,
Okay.
yes. I will accommodate those type of requests right now,
Okay.
as long as I can have
Well,
some
maybe we
snow.
could have like 3 people and we're all like making our own sundaes, and then like we could put some music on and have like a little party on Zoom. What do you think? Could we do that?
Absolutely. I can
All
use my
right.
account with Zoom and send the links to the other, well, you can send it to your friends and then you guys can do this. You can do it up in your room. I know normally you don't eat in there, but and just don't get anything on the carpet. But I mean, then you'll be in your own space with your friends
Okay.
and you don't have to worry about me listening to you.
All right, this is getting better. If I can do it in my room, then that's okay. Because really, like I'm not 10, Mom. I don't need
No
a
ice cream on the
Sunday to
carpet.
cheer me up. But if I can eat in my room, all right, well, maybe we can put something down.
Now, does this mean you can eat in your room going forward?
No.
There you go. Good. Glad we understand.
Okay. Good job, Laura. That's
Yeah.
excellent. Yeah. I love that. That's good. So you'll see one of the things that Laura and I did was we negotiated and we compromised. Like I'm not super happy because I still can't see my friends, but I have something that Laura's giving me, which is like a little bit of a goodie, which is chocolate, hot fudge sauce and Jimmy's, or sprinkles as they call them. When I grew up, they were called Jimmy's.
Oh,
And
okay. I was curious.
yeah, well, I'm from New Jersey and we call them Jimmy's down there, but now I
Gotcha.
live in Massachusetts and we call them sprinkles.
Oh, well, there you go. You learned
So that's
something
why
new
when
every
I
day.
revert to my 15-year-old, I'm talking about Jimmy's because my 15-year-old had Jimmy's.
Yeah. Oh, that sounds fun.
um,
I
so
think at this time we really need to come up with negotiations and bend some of the stricter rules that we have in our houses, but with clear expectations and boundaries.
absolutely. And I think that having those expectations and boundaries and clarifying it, and what I would say, because kids with ADHD are often, they often respond well to visual cues and reminders, write things down, post it on your refrigerator, use little post-its. Also, like if you decide that each day is going to be slightly different, have the main things of the day, studying, exercise, whatever, and just arrange them each day on your calendar.
Yeah.
Play with some of this stuff so that kids can feel like it's not the same monotony every day. But it is really hard, and it's particularly hard if you're trying to do work. So if you're trying to work
You
from
are, yes.
home, I know you are. Um, so one of the things that I would encourage is to do a family work time. So sometimes, kids with ADHD also have learning challenges. So they may be dyslexic, they may have trouble with math or writing. And so if you can have a work time where you've got your computer out and you're doing some things and you're there to assist them or read the directions so they can do something, that lets your kids know that this is family work time and it's serious business. We're all participating.
Mm.
The challenge is if you have conference calls all day, because you can't be on a conference call with your kids there. Right. So what do you do, Laura?
Right now, I have been in about 12 conference calls today.
Oh my goodness.
Yes, that's really a lot of what I'm doing
Mhm.
currently. And so my girls will pop in and out. I have earbuds in, it's usually on mute. And all of the people that I talk to understand that I have little children and they're going to come in and out of the camera.
Mm-hmm.
And then this week, my husband's home. He may be going back to work next week,
Mm-hmm.
which means I'm going to have a very serious conversation with my boss where, look, I can't be on 12 conference calls. I'm one of the only people in the office that has young
Mm-hmm.
children.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone else is a grandparent, if not great grandparent at this point. So they do have an understanding and a lenience with my ability.
Mm-hmm.
Modify. I'm going to do a lot of my work at night. My girls still go to bed at 7:30 at night. Woohoo!
Mm-hmm.
I get my
Woohoo!
evening to myself. So I'm going to do a lot of my work in the nighttime.
Mm-hmm.
And then when they're working, like when they're doing their little notebooks and stuff and little like,
Mm-hmm.
I can sit down at the kitchen table and do that, but I'm not going to be able to do the conferences come next week.
Mhm.
So that's been very clear
Uh-huh.
with everyone involved. And I need to stand up and say it. Like if you
right.
need change at your work, you need to be able to communicate that, and it'll come across as more professional if you can have those harder conversations than just being like, oh, I dropped the ball again.
Yeah, so I think that's really important to remember that also you are not the only person who has children at home. You may be the only person with children your kids' ages, but other people also have children at home and they are struggling. And so take the time to talk to people, let them know. I have a client who has a 4-year-old boy, and he said to his office, I have a 4-year-old boy at home. And you know,
That's what's going
he
on.
he may or may not come into the picture. This is a time, this is, as we hear over and over again, an exceptional time, an unprecedented time. So people are willing to give you some slack and bend, and that's important. So again, don't try not to be mad at yourself or hard on yourself.
Question here.
Yeah.
2 comments. Candace, hi Candace. We have been doing science experiments. My son gets a big kick out of it.
Mm-hmm.
That's so much fun. I love science experiments.
Mm-hmm.
Good for you.
Mm-hmm.
And Stephanie asked, how do you balance the schoolwork when you're still going to work as an essential employee? We are living with my mom who's
Yeah.
trying to help with the schoolwork.
That sounds really challenging. I think, first of all, being an essential employee, I want to say thank you. Thank you so much for what you're doing. We are all so grateful. And your mom can only do so much. So have your mom do what she can and let the rest go, and then set up some sort of arrangement for what you can do when you get home. Otherwise, talk to their teacher, if there's another parent who has a child around your child's age, see if you could create a Zoom conversation where they're working on their homework together, but the parent is the supervising, and then you could switch and offer the parent a gift of some time to themselves, and you'll do something with the kids on the weekend.
I like that. I
Mm.
like the negotiation of teamwork with other parents.
Mm-hmm.
When we used to live in northern Quebec, we were isolated and none of us could afford childcare. So all the moms would just donate time to each other and we would negotiate babysitting back and forth. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I didn't get to go out to all the activities, but sometimes I got to go out without
Yes.
children.
Right, and so we can sort of adapt that to where we are right now the best that we can.
Yeah, I like it. I like it. Does anyone else have any other questions? We are still, I can see the questions coming up. By the way, off topic, there's been 5 shares of this right now.
Fantastic.
So that
That's
means 4
great.
other people have shared this other than you and
Wow.
I.
I can't say that I can see it live on my page, but I'm a little bit that might be me. I'm not the best Facebooker, but we'll see. When it's done, I'm going to send the recording and we'll post it on my page as well.
So it's gonna once we stop, I think it will still be on your page.
Oh, okay. See, there
I
you
think
go,
that's how it
everybody.
works.
You're seeing what a Luddite I truly am.
That's okay. We're all learning. I mean, this is the first time you and I have done the Zoom together where we set it up. Normally we had someone else help us. So high five.
Hey, high five. Yeah.
So
Elbow
Nicole,
bump. Yep.
oh yeah, don't touch hands. Oh, well, we can't. We're very far away.
Yeah.
So Nicole says, I'm not sure if this is this part of the topic, but how can I explain to my oldest son that his little brother has ADHD and may act a bit crazy as he explains?
So I don't often use the term ADHD with kids. I wait for them to sort of use that term because it makes a sibling think there's something wrong with their brother or their sister. So what I would encourage you to say is that your brother has a super busy brain, you know, and a fast brain. And so he needs a lot of activity, and that's why it seems like he is acting crazy, because sometimes with kids who have fast brains like this, they struggle to manage their bodies, to be able to manage their words. Like it's hard for them to control themselves in the way that it's not as hard for kids who don't have this kind of uniquely busy brain. And you could say uniquely busy. And it doesn't mean that your brain, other child, isn't busy. It's just different. It's like a busy brain and a fast brain. Or I also use the words attention wandering, so that can help too. So when we have these different terms, it doesn't feel like we're pathologizing our kids.
I like that. I like that a lot. Amanda, it typed "Y to go, ladies." I'm pretty sure she says "Way to go, ladies."
Oh, thanks, Amanda.
Thank you.
High five to you, elbow bump.
Boop. Any other questions you can think of that you'd like to talk about? Now, there's usually a slight delay between when I ask that question and when people actually type something.
Okay.
So,
great.
About a minute difference. So we should see something else pop up on the screen because we still have 21 people watching. It's been going up and down. I'm watching.
Fantastic. Hi, everybody. You know, one thing that I thought maybe we could say is that this might be a good time, depending on whether or not there's online school for your kids, to let your kids sleep in a little bit later and stay up a little bit later. It could be like one of the extra special bonuses of this time. There's not a lot to look forward to. And when you're a kid, if you can stay up a little later, sometimes that feels special. And you could sleep in a little more too. So think about that. Just again, flexing some of your rules just for this time, and make that exception clear to kids so they don't think it's the new normal.
My girls are currently in a tent in the middle of our living room with little LED lights over to make stars above them.
I love that. So there you go. They could have you could have a sleepover in your own house.
So we have a couple comments
camping out in your own house. Yeah.
Yeah, might as well. It's too rainy. It's too cold to go camping outside this time of year.
But you could do it in your living room.
Why not? And there's carpet. So, I mean, so Nicole, the one that asked about how to explain the ADHD to the older child, says, "Thank you so much. I will use these better terms." Cool. Candace says, "That's the way I explain ADHD to my son. I just say his mind is a bit different, like a superhero. He's going to move faster, think quicker." Amanda says, "Love the idea of Zoom parties on Facebook Live for kiddos to connect with friends. Any ideas for guidance for safety, especially when working with kids in foster care?"
Well, those live parties need an adult supervision. And I would say that the live part, you know, if you trust your teen and you believe that your teen is using screens generally appropriately, then, you know, they can be in their room, but the door doesn't have to be closed. You know, you can leave the door ajar. And for kids in foster care, I would say, again, I would leave the door open, maybe fully open, or have the party in a common living space. Or you and the child could go to a separate room and you could, you know, have your headphones on and read, but you're around. And just your presence will help them, you know, will guide them, hopefully, to make better choices. Although some kids will push the limit whether you're there or not.
Yes. Candace says that we have a projector and have movie nights in the bedroom, popcorn included.
Yeah, I love that idea. I have a family I'm working with, and they have Marvel movie nights twice a week. And they're working their way through the whole Marvel universe, which I think is a great idea, which you could do with Star Wars or Star Trek or Adam Sandler movies or whatever, you know, lights your boat, whatever floats your boat.
Yeah. And Amanda, the one that says, "Way to go, ladies." Yes, way to go, trying to make dinner. To love both of your work. Oh, thank you, Amanda.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Well, this has been great. It's so good to spend time with you, Laura, and it's so nice to meet all of you who participated, and for those who are watching and just participating that way, thank you so much. We'll do this again soon because it's so much fun.
Yeah.
Any last questions?
Yeah, one last one. Carolyn. Oh, it's Carolyn who wrote the book.
Caroline, will you play with me?
Yes. Great.
Oh, I love it. Hi, Caroline.
Hi. I had her book right next to me, and then of course it's not right now.
It's Why Will No One Play With Me is the book, and it's a great book. It's fantastic, and Caroline is fantastic. So please check out her page and her book.
So her question is, what advice can you share to help a child who has struggled with social skills now during the
Mhm.
sequestering?
That's a great question. So it's really hard for kids who already I feel somewhat socially isolated to now be socially isolated. And so what I would encourage you to do as parents is brainstorm with them who of their friends might be open to some sort of Zoom call or joint activity. Is there a game that they could play with this person online together? I actually heard of a parent who basically said, you know, her son struggles a little bit with friends. He's 9, and she gives him her phone and they FaceTime his friend, and then they go outside and they each play with the phone and try to talk to each other. It probably is a little cumbersome, but at least they're connecting. The other thing that I would encourage you to do, just like we might say, okay, have a Zoom party with your friends for our kids who are more socially connected and socially capable, is we could do that with another family with our children. Like we could get pizza, they could get pizza, and we could maybe play a game, a word game, 20 questions, or some like taboo is always fun. We could even play apples to apples if you wanted, like here's the card, or what do you think? I mean, try to be creative. Sometimes people will, you know, you can collage together but not together. You know, you're doing your thing, they're doing their thing. Um, we could share what we make, or draw, or make Legos. I've now heard kids actually sit down. They have their Legos. The other child has their Legos. The Zoom camera is on, or the FaceTime, and they're Legoing together. And that's a nice
I
thing.
want to do that.
It's a nice way to connect without having to be in person. And so for kids who struggle socially, usually they can do okay with one-on-one. And if they have trouble with that, then you can do 2-on-1 or 2-on-2 where you're present in the activity.
Nice. Really great advice. Thank you so much for doing this, for
Thank
setting it
you.
up and
Thank
and
you.
getting to share this on both pages. Thank you. And
And we should come back in a couple weeks, or just to check in and see how people are doing, because it's going to be like this through May, hopefully, at least, or at most, I mean. So maybe in 2 weeks or 3 weeks, we'll come back and check in and see how everyone's managing.
so collect some questions for us, folks. We're going to come back and do this again in the future. And thank you so much.
Thank you. Have a good
Okay.
evening. Bye.
Bye.